Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight on HVCHS Historic Latin News, we have a major expose on the Trojan War. Now tonight in the studios, we have an expert on what happened in Troy. Now to Claudius, our expert.
Good evening. I am Claudius. Troy is in flames, and we're here to find out exactly how it happened. Well, to do this, you have to go back to something we like to call the Trojan War. The beginning of this is in a very mythical setting, Mount Olympus. The gods were having a great celebration to pay tribute to the wedding of a earthling king. All the gods and goddesses were invited, except for one, the great goddess of arguments. Well, needless to say, she was very upset, and she came to the party, and with her she took a golden apple, the apple of discord. On this was written, "To the fairest." She threw it in amongst the goddesses and left. Well, of course, a great argument ensued. All the goddesses wanted to be the fairest of them all. The three main arguers were Hera, Aphrodite, and Athena. Well, Zeus certainly was not going to intervene between his children and his wife. So they took it all the way down to a mortal by the name of Paris, a prince, son of Priam, king of Troy. Each one of them offered a gift to this prince in order to win his favor. Hera, the goddess of power, offered him the rule of all of Asia and Africa. Athena offered him wisdom, and Aphrodite offered him the most beautiful woman ever to walk the earth. Well, Paris, being a young man, of course, chose the young woman. And so the seeds of this battle were planted. For this woman, Helen, just happened to be the wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta, the most belligerent of all the city-states of Greece. Well, as soon as Menelaus had woken up to find his wife missing, he got the help of all the great Greek kings, Agamemnon, Odysseus the Wise, and they all set out to Troy to reclaim this wife. Well, a battle ensued that would last for 10 years. Great heroes rose and were defeated. Hector, Achilles, the Magnificent. One day, it seemed that the Greeks decided to leave, but this was not true. It was a ploy of intelligent Odysseus who had decided that they were going to trick the Trojans into opening up the gates of the city. Outside the city, they left a tremendous wooden horse. They said that this was a tribute to Athena. Well, the Trojans, not wanting the Greeks to get the good favor of Athena, brought the horse into the city. But inside were waiting the Greeks, including Odysseus and Menelaus. Well, Sibyl the traitor gave a light in the middle of the night out to the ships of Agamemnon, who returned, and Odysseus snuck out and opened the door. Well, needless to say, the Greek soldiers ran in, put on a bloody rampage, murdered the sleeping and drunk Trojans who were in no way prepared for this monstrous assault, and the war was won. Now back to Jason.
Thank you, Claudius. As you've heard, the Trojan War has had many things going on. After that, Aeneas went and fled Troy, took his family and friends and the household gods. He searched the sea for many years trying to found his new city. Now tonight we have many guests from that era. We have some citizens from Troy that managed to escape the blaze. We have Aeneas himself, Laocoon, the citizen of Troy who predicted what was going to happen with that horse and said that there were soldiers inside of it, not that it was an offering to the gods. And we even have a god tonight to tell you about what happened and the god's role in the whole Trojan War. Now to our reporter in the field, Augustus.
Well, thank you, Jason. I stand here before the ruined city of Troy with a young woman. What's your name?
Olivia.
Can you tell us of the events of the past few days?
I think it is horrific what has happened here since the horse was first brought into the city. My house has been burned to the ground and I am left with nothing. I will be happy, though, if I make it out of this place alive. Everywhere I turn, I see destruction and despair. I knew that there was something funny about that horse. I didn't think that the Greeks would all of a sudden give up after 10 years of fighting. Who am I, though? Only a little peasant. No one would listen to me. After all, they wouldn't listen to the oldest and wisest of our people, Laocoon.
What a terrible tale. What do you see as the fate of Troy in the future?
There is no Troy. Look around you. Everything is either engulfed with flames or torn down. Everyone is fleeing from this city. There's no longer a city of Troy.
What a terrible tale indeed. What started this whole Trojan War?
I think it was a combination of people. Menelaus, Helen of Troy, Aphrodite, Athena, and Juno all were at fault for the cause of this terrible destruction.
Well, thank you very much. We now stand here with the fabled Aeneas, who is going to give us his account of these past events, having had such a first-hand knowledge. Hundreds of people's lives have been affected, Aeneas more than others. Aeneas, how did you first learn of these events? Take us through your time in the past few days.
It all came to me as Hector appeared in my dream. He was a gruesome ghost who warned me of the horrific happenings. I was living with my father, son, and wife at the time when I first learned of the uncontrollable fire and the great storm. I held the safety of my people within the arms of Venus as I forged forth with my men. Their hearts could have been no braver. We fought a good fight, though, but sadly in the end only 2 men stood beside me, an injured Peleus and an older Iphitus. It seemed as if we were defeated.
What a terrible tale. What did you do next?
All we could do was flee to the palace. We tore tiles and pried the towers down to prevent the Greeks from entering, but the guards inside were killed.
What made you leave to go back with your family at that point?
I was immediately imagining my father in his older and weaker condition after Priam's death. Then I came upon Helen, who inspired rage within me. But Venus led me on another path, the mentality that I needed to care for my family now. I rushed back to my family, but encountered a stubborn father who refused to leave the house. I couldn't decide what to do, defend my father or save my son from the burning city.
What did you finally end up doing in this terrible situation?
My entire family left. I carried my father on my shoulders as I took my son by the hand. Creusa followed behind, but disappeared and later suffered her death. Upon looking for her, she came to me as a spirit. She said I was destined to marry another woman, so I shouldn't grieve for her. Her final wishes for me were to be happy and to love our son. Now all we have left is the hope to find a new life as we journey to the mountains.
Thank you, Aeneas. I'm very sorry for your loss. That is a terrible account. As you can see, hundreds of lives have been ruined here. There is no longer a city of Troy. People are fleeing. There are many ruins. We have had some terrible history told, and we look to the future to see what can be rebuilt out of this terrible tragedy.
I told you all this horse was fake. Why wouldn't anyone believe me? You refused to acknowledge the hollow sound the horse gave as I threw the spear into it. There were soldiers in there ready to pounce when the time was right. Even some voices could be heard, but again you refused to believe it. You incompetents, how could you believe the Greeks could leave it gripped at our gates? Now the city is destroyed and we have suffered a major loss. Just take a good look around you. At what is left of Troy. How could you allow this to happen? What will you do now? Where will you go? You need to start all over because you refused to listen. No gift from the Greeks is a true gift. I hope you learn from your terrible mistake. I am dead now, along with your family and fellow citizens of Troy.
Only the gods have the ability to cause such a catastrophe. Blame is held upon Athena and Juno with help from Neptune. But you had some power to prevent such a terrible fortune. You could have listened to Laocoon. Now all is lost. Everything happens for one reason or another. Creusa lost her life because Aeneas was destined to marry another woman. Now he needs to set forth on his journey and search for a new life. His travels will lead to new experiences and new dangers to overcome. He will become a better man because of it. Others also have new chances. Everyone did not perish. Some have the ability to look with hope to a new future. They will overcome this terrifying event soon enough. They aren't able to realize it yet with their losses, but the realization will occur that they have survived and have a life to lead. Each person should look deep within themselves to find a better person from the tragedy.
Well, thank you. I'll take my mic back now. As I was saying, we have a terrible tale here, this awful tragedy. Jason, we'll send it back to you for a little wrap-up.
Thank you, Augustus. As you can see, the Trojan War was a horrific event that killed many great men. One must truly ask, was all the fighting really worth it? Was it really worth it for one girl, Helen of Troy? Thank you for joining us tonight, and stay tuned next week for the other side of the Trojan War, the Odyssey. Thank you, and good night.